I still think that writers, storytellers, actors, and people in the visual, they're still going to need to be human beings sort of manning this.
Welcome back to Flavor Report. My name's Joe Winger. Today's conversation is with actor George Gallagher. You've seen him on TV shows, indie films. Now he's on BET Plus, Tyler Perry's show, Perimeter. George, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Holding on to the idea you just mentioned about Hollywood and working in entertainment being such a privilege, I know you've been outspoken about the future of filmmaking and storytelling, the digital, the AI. A lot of people have a more negative, cynical feeling, whereas you're very optimistic about the future. Do you mind talking a little bit about what makes you feel so positive and excited and optimistic about the future of Hollywood?
So yeah, I can. Look, I believe that I don't believe a human soul will ever be duplicated and replicated. They're going to get interesting products and effects that are going to look really cool and fascinating, but there's still going to be a storyteller that's a human being behind that. Now that might change the locale. All the theater actors might end up dominating because we're used to creating black box theater and with no sets around us, and maybe we'll be doing green screen and having to create just like they do in the Transformers films and those Aliens movies. They might stop building sets because of these new programs. I don't know. I hope not, because that would put a lot of art directors and teamsters and all the gaffers and the grips and all the people that work behind the scenes, that might affect them to some degree. We might have smaller sets, but I still think that writers, storytellers, actors, and people in the visual, they're still going to need to be human beings sort of manning this. In the world of theater, I don't see that ever happening. I mean, unless you're going to have holograms walking out on stage like in Star Wars for actors, you're going to have human beings that are going to be out on stage, and people are going to pay for that because it's a communal experience. Even going to see a movie, there's a communal element to it. I saw, and I'm dating myself a little bit, but I saw a film years ago that I just thought it was American Beauty with Kevin Spacey and Annette Bening. And I remember thinking, wow, this is like an art house film, but in like big theaters, like AMC or wherever, Regal Cinemas. And I saw it 3 times, and it was a different movie each time, Joe. And that told me that the audience, Christopher Walken says that he always believed on stage that the audience should be the 11th character in the playbill. They're a part of what goes on stage with the actors. Now, film is in the can, it's distilled, it's already shot, it's not going to change, but the energy in that room when you're sitting there with 20 or 50 or 100 people affects your experience of the storytelling. Going back to us around campfires and having story time, thousands of years ago, it's never going to change. There's always going to be a need and a desire for communal experience, and in some way, shape, or form. That might all end us up back. We might all burn out and end up going back to doing theater. I don't know. We'll see. But again, I don't think it's ever going to completely change things. I think forever in terms of like the need for a human being telling stories and artists, but it is probably going to alter a lot. And we're going to probably see a lot of areas where they're going to be downsizing, I would say. There's just no way around that because it sounds like that's the trend and where it's going. But who knows? Maybe people won't like the product that they're selling.
George Gallagher working on Tyler Perry's new BET Plus show, Perimeter. George, thank you so much for your time today. So now, whether it's a website or it's a social media, what's the best way to stay in touch with you? What's the best way to find out what you're working on next?
Absolutely. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. It's George Gallagher, the number 7. George Gallagher 7 on Instagram, Facebook, George Gallagher. You'll see my face, my picture. And feel free to follow me, keep in touch. Thanks so much.